read to you a bit from Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday, and hopefully you can hear me quite well. I haven't started the book yet. The call to stillness comes quietly. The modern world does not. In addition to the clatter and chatter and intrigue and infighting that would be familiar to the citizens of Seneca's time, we have car horns, stereos, cell phone alarms, social media notifications, chainsaws, airplanes. Our personal and professional problems are equally overwhelming. Competitors muscle into our industry. Our desks pile high with papers and our inboxes overflow with messages. I thought I wasn't filming. We are always reachable, which means that arguments and updates are never far away. The news bombards us with one crisis after another on every screen we own, of which there are many. The grind of work wears us down and seems to never stop. We are overfed and undernourished, overstimulated, overscheduled, and lonely. I can attest to that. Who has the power to stop? Who has time to think? Is there anyone not affected by the din and dysfunctions of our time? I don't know what din means. While the magnitude and urgency of our struggle is modern, it is rooted in a timeless problem. Indeed, history shows that the ability to cultivate quiet and quell the turmoil inside us, to slow the mind down, to understand our emotions, and to conquer our bodies has always been extremely difficult. All of humanity's problems, Blaise Pascal said in 1654, stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. In evolution, distinct species like birds and bats have often evolved similar adaptations in order to survive. The same goes for the philosophical schools separated by vast oceans and distances. They developed unique paths to the same critical destination, the stillness required to become master of one's own life, to survive and thrive in any and every environment, no matter how loud or busy. Which is why this idea of stillness is not some soft New Age nonsense or the domain of monks and sages, but in fact desperately necessary to all of us. Whether we're running a hedge fund or playing in a Super Bowl, pioneering research in a new field, or raising a family, it is an attainable path to enlightenment and excellence, greatness and happiness, performance as well as presence, for every kind of person. See how I'm leaning again forward? Why? Stillness is what aims the archer's arrow. It inspires new ideas. It sharpens perspective and illuminates connections. It slows the ball down so that we might hit it. It generates a vision, helps us resist the passions of the mob, makes space for gratitude and wonder. Stillness allows us to persevere, to succeed. It is the key that unlocks the insights of genius and allows us, regular folks, to understand them. The promise of this book is the location of that key, and the call not only for possessing stillness, but for radiating it outward like a star, like the sun, for a world that needs light more than ever. I think I'm really gonna enjoy the book. Part 1, mind, spirit, body, and now we are at mind. The mind is restless, Krishna, impetuous, self-willed, hard to train. To master the mind seems as difficult as to master the mighty winds. The Bhagavad Gita. On the final act. This is basically the end of the book. You're welcome. I'm reading the end before even starting it. As a well-spent day brings a happy sleep, so a well-employed life brings a happy death. Leonardo da Vinci. It was AD 161. I'd say you'd say 161 AD, and the Emperor Antonius Pius knew he was going to die. He was 74 years old, and he could feel the life leaving his body. A fever had taken hold, and his stomach pained him. With his last bit of strength, he called his adopted son, Marcus Aurelius, Oh, would you look at that? Into the room and began the process of transferring the state over to him. When his task was complete, Antoninus, I hope I said Antoninus at the beginning, I'm not going to reread it, turned to his royal audience and spoke his final word, a word that would echo down through not just the life of his son, but all of history, down even to us today. Equanimitas. A few hundred years before, in roughly 400 BC, Buddha accepted with equal equanimity that he too would soon pass from this earth. He was a little older than Antoninus, but he had not certified a successor, for although he was born a prince, he'd renounced his patrimony in the pursuit of enlightenment. Still, he could tell that his students were worried about losing him, about how they would continue their journey without his guidance and love. You may be thinking, he said to them, the word of the teacher is now a thing of the past. Now we have no more teacher. But that is not how you should see it. Let the Dhamma, hopefully that's how you pronounce it, Dhamma, and the discipline that I have taught you be your teacher when I am gone. Then, just as Antoninus had done, he prepared for his final words, his last chance for passing on wisdom to the people he loved, to the people he knew would face all the difficulties that life throws at us. All individual things pass away. He said, seek your liberation with diligence. All individual things pass away. Then Buddha fell into a deep sleep and never woke again. It is fitting that between the deaths of these two titans came Epicurus, the philosopher whose unique way of living almost perfectly bridges the Eastern and Western schools. In 270 BC, he also had the self-awareness to know he did not have much more time. On his happy day, which is the last day of my life, Epicurus, we believe that's how you put the accent, began his final letter. I write the following words to you. Despite the considerable pain he felt, his body racked by blockages in the bladder and bowels, he wrote instead of the joy in his heart and the fond recollections he had of conversations with his friends. Then he got to the purpose of the letter, a set of instructions for the care of a promising pupil he wanted to make sure was looked after. Within a few hours and without much fanfare, Epicurus would join Buddha and Antoninus in eternity, in death. 3 approaches, different, but in the end the same. Clear, calm, kind, still. Each of the domains we have studied addressed in their own way. I'm gonna cry. The mind, the soul, the body, the mental, the spiritual, the physical. 3 legs in a stool, 3 points along a perfect circle. None of us are long for this world. None of us are long for this world. Death hangs over us all, whether we notice or not, whether we believe it or not. Tomorrow, we could discover we have cancer. 2 weeks from now, a heavy branch could fall from a tree and take us with it. The prognosis is terminal for each and every person and has been from the moment we were born. I'm gonna post this. And don't tell me why you're crying. I'm just very emotional. Our heartbeats within fail for an uncertain amount of time, and then one day, suddenly, it is still. Memento mori. This is a fact that, perhaps more than anything else, is responsible for incredible amounts of anxiety and distress. It's scary to think that we will die, as is the fact that we cannot know for certain what will happen when death comes, whenever that is. Is there such a thing as heaven or hell? Is death painful? Is it nothingness, a dark, backward abyss of time? Seneca reminded himself that before we were born, we were still and at peace, and so we will be once again after we die. A light loses nothing by being extinguished, he said. It just goes back to how it was before. The denial of this simple, humbling reality, the denial of death, is why we attempt to build monuments to our own greatness. It's why we worry and argue so much, why we chase pleasure and money and cannot be still while we are alive. It's ironic that we spend so much of our precious time on earth either impotently fighting death or I don't know how to pronounce this word. Okay, it's Futily. I don't know. Something attempting to ignore the thought of it. Finding death, or this word, attempting to ignore the thought of it. It was Cicero who said that to study philosophy is to learn how to die. Most of this book has been about how to live well. You should definitely read it. I'm gonna read it. But in so doing, it is also about how to die well, because they are the same thing. Death is where the three domains we have studied in these pages come together. We must learn to think rationally and clearly about our own faith. We must find spiritual meaning and goodness while we are alive. We must treat the vessel we inhabit on this planet well, or we will be forced to abandon it early. Death brings an end to everything, to our minds, our souls, and our bodies, in a final permanent stillness. So we end this book there as well. I cannot believe I've been filming for 20 minutes. If I've cried this much just from 2 chapters, how much am I gonna cry once I read the whole book? Everything resonates with me. Everything that I'm like reading about Stoics now resonates with me. Everything about life resonates with me. Everything about like what I'm experiencing or like what I'm trying to overcome or just understand related to my life, it just resonates so much and makes me cry, obviously. But thank you so much for being here. I really hope this video has a nice audio because I want to post it. And I will see you in my next video. Let me know what you would like to see. I do really feel I want to also film normal videos, even though I'm not sure how much of ASMR this is, but it's just it's mix. It's a mix, you know. Like, I don't want to talk like this. I'm not sure how good it is for the voice. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day. Go read this book and yeah, take care of yourself. Be happy. Bye bye.